Hoffman we're talking about?
No,
Smith. He
Oh,
went up.
Smith.
They loaned him out short-term loan for the weekend game.
Yeah, I remember being really excited about him when he came in.
He was
Deacon
great with
Cross.
UNC, Charlotte, whatever it was. Anyway,
I remember him looking good for the Reds early on.
we have a bunch of things that are talking on right now. We're just giving a little bit of USL Pro spiel as our Rochester Raging Rhinos continue to rage on. I'm drinking heavily. I'm getting ready for Abrams' rant.
It's not rant. It's all laid out facts and opinions supported by facts, which are facts.
So some shit went down in Pensacola. In case you haven't heard, in case you don't follow Abram on Twitter, like most of the listeners on here do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every single one of them do.
Or at
And if
least
they don't follow
10
me, they follow one of my 20 other accounts.
Yeah.
The one viewer right now. I'm not sure who that is, but
That's
thank
me.
you.
Hope you're
Probably me, actually, because I got it on the other YouTube.
All right, yeah, so this is more about me just bitching and moaning tonight than anything else, although we could talk about U.S. men's national team and whether Timmy Chandler, anyway.
We'll get to that.
The main story is, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, which are few and far between, Pensacola City FC folded, which happens in NPSL. It happens all the time. It's not, that itself isn't a huge deal, but the deal itself is that the owner then proceeded to allegedly give the boot to all the players who he had promised housing and room and board to, including 6 foreign players who I had the pleasure of sitting down, talking to, interviewing, and just shooting the shit with today and letting them vent their frustration onto me. But I was talking to Seth before, so I apologize, Seth, as I'm repeating the story. Basic story runs like this. Around 2 o'clock on, I think it was Thursday, but I'm not 100% sure if it was Thursday or Friday, the owner sends me a text that says something along the lines of, I've decided to disband the team for the season. Thank you for all your hard work. So, my general thought was, okay, NPS. Yeah, for the season. For the rest of the season. They had only played 3 out of 12, 12 plus 2 friendlies, 3 out of 15 or so games. So it's just sort of, okay, whatever, I get it. Your NPSL teams fold all the time. So I started getting on Twitter, and at first it was in one of those sort of, saw the team's gone, but I'm still going to support, Gulf Coast Soccer or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And we, I talked about it with the supporters group, the other, other 6, 7, 8 members, and we were just sort of like, yeah, whatever, fuck it, it is what it is. So then I tweeted out some stuff about, just sort of joking around, like, now what, what am I supposed to do now? And one of the players' girlfriends tweeted me back that was like, it could be worse. You could be one of the players who's now stuck without money and forced to be homeless. So I was like, what now? So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna text the owner because he just texted me 10 minutes ago, so I'm gonna text him. So I texted him like, hey, someone's telling me that some of the players have no place to live. Oh wait, maybe an hour. I'm like, all right. So then a couple other players start tweeting stuff out, like, one of my favorite was these hoes ain't loyal and things along those lines. And I was just sort of like, all right, there's enough players now bitching about this where maybe there's some substance to this. So I decided, I'm like, all right, I'll get on Facebook because I'm facing, I ran the supporters group, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna Facebook the owner because he's my Facebook friend. Get on Facebook, go to send him whatever it is on Facebook, direct message, instant message, whatever it's called. He unfriended me. All right, whatever. I'm in a supporters group. That's cool. I understand. We're not, it's not my buddy. That's not my friend. So fuck it. Let's move on. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get on Twitter, and I'm gonna tweet to the team account. So I get on Twitter, and at Pensacola City FC. I got a couple questions. Can you text, call, whatever? Whatever that message is when the account's deleted, like invalid entry or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. So, all right, team's folded, you delete your team account. All right, I understand that, whatever. So now I get on, so I decide to tweet the owner because I have the owner's individual Twitter account. So I tweet the owner. It's like, hey, same sort of thing. A couple players are saying that the housing situation's fucked up, whatever, etc. Blocked. What? So I had been, I don't know what I did in that meantime. So that's when I just went, all right, well, fuck this. I'm going to make a bigger deal out of this than it probably is. And that's when you saw me tweeting out 5,000 things until other people started tweeting out and picking up the story. And so this one guy, John Nelson, the online sports guy, emailed a couple players. They sent him some comments, and he emailed the owner. And the owner started saying things like, well, the players played hungover. There was... Now, you guys might not know this. Do you guys know it's hot in the South?
Really?
Are you aware of this?
Wait, but that's only hot in the summer, right?
Yeah, just in the summer, not in the winter.
Because the rest of the winter is like 75, 80. That's not hot.
Yeah, that's not hot. But they played a back-to-back nights. They played a game. They played one against Knoxville, which they drew 1-1. And they played Chattanooga, which they lost 1-0. Chattanooga, clearly the superior team. Whatever, I can say that now that I don't have a team to support. But they gave 100%. But they had played some of these guys 180 minutes over the course of less than 24 hours. The second game was kicking off at 1 o'clock in 95-degree heat. So the fact that they were falling down and cramping up, and I believe, at least to my recollection, 3 of them went off with cramps, that probably didn't have much to do with being hung over. So
or dehydrated.
Yeah, maybe dehydrated. They should have had more beer during the game.
That's what alcohol does to you, right?
But yeah. So I after that, he tweeted that out. Some of the players got back to after the owner answered those questions to this journalist, some of the players wrote back and were like, that never happened. We were never hungover. We never went to drink. It's basically what I just told you. We played 2 games in less than 24 hours. So and now we're getting kicked out of our houses. So I'm like the internet slut that I am. I'm online tweeting like everyone. I'm tweeting, the Pensacola, the main newspaper in Pensacola News Journal. I'm tweeting, soccer journalists to see who picks it up. And so one of the reporters from Pensacola News Journal picks up the story.
Yep.
And he decides to run with it. And the owner's like, no, I never, ever paid for the apartments. That didn't happen. So from what I can tell, and I trust these guys because I know them, and I know guys who work for the team or worked for the team, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. They told me, no, he may not have found the apartments, but he said he was going to pay for them. And he's not. So he went in on May 29th and told the player, May 29th at 2 o'clock and said, this is going to be the last month that we pay rent. So the month of May is going to be the last month that we pay rent because the team is done. So it's up to you if you want to stay here to pay for June. Despite the fact that the season ran through July, so he was supposed to pay May,
June, and July.
June, July. And he tells them this at 2 o'clock on May 29th.
With 2 days left.
2 days left to find a job and call it together or whatever.
2 days left of rent, really.
Yeah. And with some of the guys that I was talking to today, they said in some cases they were living 7 to an apartment. And one of the host families, because Cape Cod Baseball League a little bit, Hank, I don't know if you do, Seth, where they get host parents that do, I think a lot of NPSL teams.
Yeah.
They do that with
the Breakers, too.
Yeah, soccer, women's soccer.
So one of the host families who originally had three people, at one point was housing 6 of them until they could cobble together the gas money to drive back wherever they want. But now there's these 6 players who I believe there's 7 of them because one of them didn't come out because he felt guilty about taking my money to buy pizza and beer and whatever. Although it wasn't my money, it was money that was very kindly donated by people throughout the American soccer community that we were then able to get these 6 guys. And let me tell you, thank God they donated that money because these boys can eat. But it's funny saying it now, but talking to them as they were leaving, they said to me, one of the forwards said, this is the second time I've eaten since the team ended, and it'll probably be the last time I eat this week. And I was just like, holy shit. 'Cause for what it's worth, and I know you and I, Hank, have made fun of the name Gulf Coast Texans a lot. That's still a local team. They're more towards the youth, and I think they have either a W League or a WP. I can't think of what the other women's league is. Right. It's not the major women's league. They offered, after I started tweeting stuff out like a maniac, they sent out a tweet that was like, soccer's fine in Pensacola. Then they sent me a direct message and it says, something along the lines of, any player who's stuck here, see if they can get to Brosnahan tonight and we will feed them. And so a bunch of them, there's some pictures going out of them at the Texans game that are, they got food and they got fed that night and they got fed tonight. And I'm giving them the rest of the money that we earned. We raised a good amount of money. I, split that up as equally as I can. So I hope they're smart enough to know how to spend that. I don't know if they are, and I don't know how far that money is going to last them. But these guys are stuck down there because this friggin' slumlord owner.
His name is William Fetke.
So did he have any connection to
FETKE.
soccer beforehand? Like
His
what?
son-
How does
His
he
son
end
is
up doing this?
His son is the backup goalkeeper.
Oh, so this is like a Bob Bradley type of thing? Like there's no way his son should have been there.
Not even.
Nepotism.
His son is okay. His son is not, he's good enough to be in NPSL. He's plays college ball. He's good enough for NPSL. He's another one who got injured early on, and that's another thing they complained about, were the training facilities and the way the trainings and practices ran. And the first training of the season, I know 3 guys came up injured. And let me tell you about the field they played on. First off, the field was in the middle of the ghetto. Like, the ghetto. Here's the ghetto. Here's the field. The field has holes in it. There's no soccer lines on it. And they were telling me afterwards, when they finally got the soccer lines on them, they were all sorts of incorrect. So he got involved, and I don't want to, I don't want to, whatever it is, slander or libel him, so I don't know. He says, he got into it over passion. It's his passion for the game. And he does seem to be relatively passionate about the game, for whatever that's worth. But if you're that passionate, then you eat the money. You say, okay, I understand that I'm going to lose money. I'm going to make it through this season so these kids aren't screwed for the summer. It's sickening. It's beyond sickening. And the worst part of this is, I will almost guarantee that this happens all the time at the NPSL level. One of the guys from Chattanooga was tweeting back and forth with me. He said something along the lines of, if he felt this way, he should have done PDL, though PDL has a much more expensive expansion fee or whatever that's called. Because PDL does, as he called it, more of a nanny system, whereas NPSL, it's more about the individual clubs. Right. Although the head coach in Atlanta, who was talking about this, said he should have asked the league, or he should have asked the other teams. I'm sure the other teams would have assisted him in making it through the season, because it's not just now his players and his team, it's this entire conference that everything is misaligned, everything is off, and it's just, there's no positives out of it. It's a horrible situation, and it needs to be discussed. It needs to be out there, and I'm glad Pensacola News Journal picked it up, and I'm going to see if I can get, obviously we're doing it because this is my bully pulpit, as you called it, but I want to get other people on this story, and not just from the perspective of Pensacola City, and not just from the perspective of these kids. This happens all the time. Just not everyone is as loud and vocal and arrogant and dickheaded as I am to want to bury this motherfucker. And right now, I want to bury him.
Okay, well, let's bring him up. His name, for the record, is Bill Fetke, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And so just so you mentioned his initial thing said he was going to fold for the season. Was that kind of like, I'm going to start it up again next year, or I'm shutting doors permanently?
His words were, and let me see if I still have the text on my phone. I believe I have the text. Actually, you know where I have the text? I have the text at the beginning of that blog. He said, I am sorry to inform you, but I have disbanded the team. Thank you so much for all your efforts.
So it disbanded the team, not just for the season, but for eternity. Okay,
that sounds perfect.
For eternity. For all. And right. As I said, teams in NPSL fold at a ridiculous rate. Tyler, who we had on the show once, tweeted out the stat that said something along the lines of, in the past 5 years, 38 NPSL teams have, in some form or another, completely disbanded. Just gone, disappeared, no more.
It's shocking, to say the least. But tell me, how does the league work in terms of contracts with the players? Is it with the teams, individuals, or do they sign contracts, or is there kind of like an agreement, you're an employee at will, and what happens?
To my knowledge, and I'm sure someone, I don't know if we have any actual listeners tonight, but if there's anyone from Detroit, and Detroit knows a lot of the Detroit guys know a lot more about this, and they were trying to explain some of it to me, and it's just way the hell over my head. What I can tell, because it is semi-professional, and the vast majority of the players are not paid. There's very few that are paid except in situations where it's very stable. I think it's just sort of, I think it's an at will. What I've been, I don't want to get into something that I've been told. There's something I was told off the record, which I don't really want to get into. We can get into that off the air. But from what I can tell, and from what, again, one of the Chattahooligans tweeted out or said, or I don't remember how they got in contact, it may have been a text, they mentioned something along the lines of, once you are with an NPSL team for the season and you've played, you are your team tied. So you cannot go to another.
You can't go to another team. You can't even get picked up by another team, even if that team folds.
That's what that was this guy's understanding of it.
Definitely.
But later in the day, one of the Armada members, again, this is Tyler, informed me that if I wish I had the rules in front of me. There's section something of the NPSL rules. It's on the Armada Facebook page. If two teams sign an agreement, then they're allowed to let a player go play for another team.
So
but a player can't just say
mutual consent.
Yeah. It's not just like, I don't like playing for Pensacola, so I want to go play for New Orleans. I'm going to leave and go there. There has to be a mutual agreement.
Pensacola would have to release you from your contract, in quotation
Pensacola
marks.
doesn't exist anymore.
Well, but
Which is
that's
the thing.
That's sort of the issue, is now, if the rule's still in effect, can these guys go play somewhere, or does Pensacola have to legitimately say, these guys are still free agents? I guess everyone now would be, who's the guy in Seattle? Ozzy Alonso? Who's from Cuba, but he can't play for the USA because Cuba says you can't play for the USA.
That's not
Something.
It's
not the same situation, but that's what I would compare it to almost.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad comparison. I think that's actually a very astute comparison. But my understanding, and I know there are players who are trying to get in either with PDL teams, because PDL and NPSL, although they're on the same level, I don't think they follow the same guidelines. So I know a couple of them are trying to go to PDL teams. I'll tell you guys some more stuff off the air. But I do know of, off the top of my head, at least one player who just was like, you know what, I'm done for the summer, and just drove back home and is now looking for a summer job.
Right.
Which is not the not the end of the world for a kid in a summer job to work, but if you thought you were going to spend
Georgia?
This kid from Rome, Georgia.
Yeah,
so it's sort of if you had thought you were going to spend the entire summer, and whatever you think about Pensacola and Redneck Riviera, it's not a bad place to spend the summer.
Right.
Especially if the main thing that you're having to do is maybe practice soccer and get to travel to Chattanooga and New Orleans and Atlanta and the surrounding areas. And now you're going back and working for the summer.
Not a bad
So
gig.
it's not the end of the world for him, but what about these kids from England and France? I mean, one of these players played third division French ball and decided to come over here because he was told by the owner that there would be MLS scouts there. Now,
oh my God.
let me tell you. I went to both home games. First home game attendance wasn't terrible, but the second home game, if it was over 50, and the vast majority of them were Armada members, who I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure I'm not an MLS scout. I don't think Trey or Jeff are MLS scouts. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to ask them next time I see them. But
I think you would know.
I don't think there were any MLS scouts at that second game. Now, maybe if they had gotten up to Atlanta or over to Chattanooga, which is a whole other thing, and again, this was spitballing between some of us, the idea that possibly, in this complete spitballing, possibly the reason why he decided to fold is because he did not have the money to get the team up to Atlanta and Chattanooga, because they were supposed to play in, I believe it was Atlanta on Friday and Chattanooga tonight, I believe. I may be off on it somehow. But they had 2 games with heavy travel schedule, and the thought is maybe he couldn't afford to travel.
Or
based on something that I was told off the record, which I'll tell you guys afterwards, that wouldn't shock me. Although, again, people have told me this guy has money. He's just notoriously cheap. But if you're notoriously cheap, you're not going to eat the money.
Maybe they should negotiate some free beef or something. Get Restrepo over there and get him some free beef.
Oh Lord, when we go off the air, I'll talk to you guys about that.
So that kind of, you talk about no contracts. Okay, now what about they came over here? These guys from England, France, etc. They came over here. One-way plane tickets, round trips. So what was the deal with that? Do they have a way to return ticket home?
One of the players, the one that got injured, who will be on and I'm gonna this is me plugging away. There's something that I'm gonna be putting up on Non-League America, which is a website run by our buddy the Lincoln King, Steve Bailey.
Yep.
That'll be up to one of the guys I interviewed. He's one of the French players. Got injured early on. He had, and I remember early on because I remember during the Panama City Beach game, which was their only friendly of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking, he was like, I need to know if I'm going to make the team, because if I'm not going to make the team, I need to, purchase my ticket now. And so he had, I guess, a round-trip ticket, or he had the money to get the ticket, or whatever the situation was. I didn't talk to him fully about this. But he, especially being injured now, he cannot get a ticket back to France now. He's sort of stuck in the situation where he's in an apartment, which technically has to be out of today, though I let him in on a little secret that if you don't pay your rent, they can't evict you for a month. And if it's truly under the owner's name, and that's his credit and not yours, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. So I don't know what his plan is going to be, but I do know he said he has a round trip ticket, but his ticket back wasn't until after the season was over, third week of July.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could change it, but that's a cost. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what that would cost.
But then there's a whole bunch of other players that need tickets home and they don't have them.
Yeah, there's one of his other roommates, and then there's the two from England, and luckily there's I want to say 4 players who are University of West Florida players. There's a couple who are University of Mobile, which is not hugely far away, so they're letting players. Obviously those are still their teammates as far as they're concerned. They're letting them crash with them, but then that's the extra utility bills, that's extra food, that's other things that they're now financially responsible for that they didn't think they were going to be financially responsible for, as of Thursday or Wednesday or whatever day it was that he decided, to hold this team.
And they need to get jobs. I mean, how are they going to get jobs? Who's going to hire them?
And that's you're in the middle. And are there jobs in Pensacola over the summer? There absolutely are. But are they hiring today? No, they've already hired.
They hired for the summer. They got
they've already. It'd be like showing up to Cape Cod or Cape Ann in I don't know, July and saying, "Hey, do you have any summer jobs left?"
Yeah, I need a job and a place to live.
That's not happening.
No. Gosh.
So, Abram, one of the things I was going to ask about was because I've been hearing a lot also on the USL Pro level. Does the schedule help out like NPSL when you have so many of these sort of like back-to-backs or 2 games in 3 days? Like, how much of a financial strain would it be for a team to have to get from Pensacola to Atlanta to Chattanooga and then back all in the same weekend?
Financially, or as far as I'm not following your question, Jake. I'm sorry. I had someone texting me. I'm getting crazy text right now. So I missed the key of your question.
That's okay. It's more like what would if because the NPSL, because they're not paying the players and it's all really on the team and they don't have the same income as maybe NASL or MLS. What would the cost be, you figure, for that big road trip that now didn't happen, that your guy Fetke didn't want to fit the bill for or couldn't fit the bill for?
We're talking a couple of thousand miles, right?
Yeah. So if we're talking from let's say we're talking from Pensacola to, they're supposed to go Pensacola to Atlanta.
Yep.
So anyone wants to pull up the Google map, they can correct me. That's going to be 5-6 hours, maybe. I guess probably 5, maybe 4.5, 5 hours. Is that about what it is, Hank? I don't know the mileage, but so you got to assume you're renting a bus. I would hope, unless you're carpooling, which wouldn't surprise me. So let's assume you're getting a school bus, we'll pretend you get the bus. You have a bus, you travel up there.
330 miles, thereabouts, 5 hours, 20 minutes.
All right, so 330 miles. You have 20-something players on roster. You're probably only traveling with your 18, so you're traveling with your 18 that are going to play in Chattanooga and Atlanta, and probably no one else. Plus, coach, trainer, assistant coach, maybe team owner, although I'm sure he'd drive behind them. So you've got that cost of the bus, whatever that is. Then you've got pre- and post-game meals. Then you've got whatever it costs to house them. So let's assume that we find a low-end motel at $50 a night. We'll say minimally 9 hotel rooms. So what's that, a couple $1,000?
Probably,
hotel
per
rooms,
person.
If you
Let's
get
say
them for under $100 a
$100
night, it's maybe $1,000. So for
You got to do that twice.
yeah, you got to do it
Oh, you
twice.
would
So
know.
it's probably like 1,500.
You should be in them twice. But I know for a fact that when they went up to Huntsville, which was about a 6-hour road trip, God, I want to tell you guys stuff that I was told off the record. I probably could. How many viewers do we have? I could probably tell you.
6 viewers, but it's going to be on YouTube forever.
Yeah, that is true. So I won't tell you what I was told off the
Forever.
record. But I will tell you this. When they went up to Huntsville is approximately 5.5 hours. You know, give or take,
Yeah.
traffic, etc., whatever.
Yeah.
So get on the bus in Pensacola, get up to Knoxville, and they checked into the hotel room, then went from the hotel room to the stadium, played the game, got back on the bus, went back to the hotel room, stayed the night, got back on the bus, and then traveled back to Pensacola. So, yeah, that sort of gets you. Now, there are other teams, and I will say this to be fair. If you are a stable NPSL team that has been around for a while, I know for a fact, Chattanooga played New Orleans, and then they played us the next night. They traveled down to New Orleans a day before the game, stayed overnight, played the game, got back on their bus. Their bus was a very nice charter bus because I saw it parked outside of the stadium. Stayed overnight when they came down came down the night before, stayed overnight, were able to train at the University of West Florida. Their coach is also the University of West Florida coach. Came in, played, went back to the hotel room, stayed in the hotel room, and then headed back to Chattanooga. So I would assume that they do that. I would assume that the Silverback Reserves do that. I would assume that, when you're in another division like Detroit City, who's also NPSL, their longest road trip is 5 hours. In the Southeast, just because of how the Southeast is stretched out, they have to travel a lot farther than a team in Detroit or a team in New England.
The average road trip for them is probably 4 hours minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the average road trip for Detroit, I was told, is a couple hours, 2 hours maybe, which is why they can travel with 1,400 fans.
And if it's a 2-hour trip, you figure you might be able to get there and then go back to Detroit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to stay overnight every single time.
Which eats into which is going to eat into your cost and raise the cost. But either way, he should have been aware of this cost prior to coming into the city. Going into the city, coming into the league again. I understand that. I understand it's a financial burden, but if you agreed to take on that financial burden, you got to do it. You got to finish it out. You've got to complete it, and then if you want to fold at the end of the season, fold at the end of the season. At least you gave it your damnedest.
Yeah, it's called being a stand-up guy, whatever it is. You're making a commitment. You're giving your word. You're basically telling the world right now your world is crap. Your word is crap.
Yeah.
And who's going to want to do business with this guy? Oh, you know what? I think I may want to do this. I definitely want to do this with you. You're my man. You're going to be my partner in this business venture. I'm 100% in. Oh, but you know what? Yeah, I don't really want to do it anymore. Sorry.
And that's what it comes down to. Is I understand, and I said this, and I tweeted this out from the supporter group account, which is I understand the team folding. I get it. I know that
team
happens.
Folding
That's
is not the issue.
what I
It's the way
care
it
about.
happened, right?
Yeah,
You fold at the end of the season, and you made a commitment to these players. You made a commitment to your son, backup goalkeeper. You made a commitment to the league that you're going to be a part of, and you're folding. You're welching. You're just running away.
And now you've got how many games left? Did Pensacola?
God,
I guess we'll
they
say
played
4
6 more weeks in the season. 8 more weeks in the season.
They played 3. They should have played 2 more. They should have played 5 through the season. They played 3. So there's 9 games left plus a friendly they were supposed to play.
So that's 9 games in the league that are now open dates. Those are 9 games that those teams don't get gates or concessions, whatever it is, from their stadiums.
And I was talking about that with one of the other Armada guys, and it was just sort of, well, what the hell do they do? Because we played those 3 games, we drew 1, we lost 2. So does everyone get 6 points? Do they not give everyone 6 points? Does everyone get 2 points? Then does Knoxville argue because they don't get the same amount of points because they drew us? Do they take away all the points, and then Chattanooga and Rocket City say, no, you can't take away the 3 points. We earned 3 points.
Well, or I mean, at this point, I think the best thing to do would just be to just eviscerate Pensacola from the record books. No one gets any points. Those games just don't count.
But then when it comes down to the end of the season and Chattanooga and Rocket City are 3 points out of the playoffs.
Well, but it's just, I mean, you're just giving a double forfeit now to everyone. It's just.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's the best case scenario, but I'm not sure I'd want that.
What's that another bad reference? It doesn't make any sense, but I'll make it anyway. That extra group, that extra European qualifying group that doesn't have 7 teams, the tiebreaker is, well, we're going to eliminate that last place team. Yeah. What did you do against everyone else? It's the same concept. Just those games just don't count anymore.
I mean, the whole thing is just, and it's. I'm gonna do what we always say we're not gonna do, and I apologize for doing this. I'm gonna bring up the name of he who shall not be named.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Big you know who does make a relative point, which is if we live in a world where that thing that we're not supposed to talk about exists, does this guy just pull out, or does he try to sell the team? Is there any more value on the team if that thing we're not allowed to talk about exists? Or is it still he pulls out in the middle of the season? Because I hate to say it, but I can't see a world where that thing we're not allowed to talk about exists, and someone says, all right, you're trying to fire sale this team, I'm going to buy it and see if I can get it up, and do what I do with it in that thing that you're not allowed to talk about on this podcast. Because the value can be there, even if it isn't at this very moment.
You could. Listen. ProRel has its place.
Whoa! We don't say that on the show.
Right? No.
It's not. I can say that. I just don't want Ted to get in.
Ah! You said the name.
Damn it. Look,
said the name, but you must not hear.
This is why you don't have the conversation until you have a stable enough lower tier to where those teams can move up a division and not get financially screwed. If they can't make it through a full season in Tier 4, how are they going to make a full season in Tier 3?
And that's part of the problem too. Not that argument makes logical sense to me. It's that idea of then you need to do something about these owners who fold every year. You need to have a more, and I said that at the end of the long ass thing that I wrote on the Gulf Coast Armada website, which is NPSL needs to be more stringent, more strict, have a better policy for their ownership. Let me see your financial records. Let me see that you can pay the money up front. Let me see that you can bear to take this loss over 3 to 1 year. Because you're not going to strengthen that base of the pyramid without that. And I'm obviously a pro-rel guy. On this issue, on that chance, I agree with you completely, Jake, with that idea of you can't just say, all right, you're promoted, and then maybe magically money appears.
And there are people. I say this all the time. I would like to see that in the USA. I would like to see the soccer pyramid have that. But I'm not even going to think about that until stuff like this isn't happening anymore. I would love to see Pensacola City FC, or in theory any other team like that, make it up to MLS. I really would. But I can't see that happening anytime the next 10, 20, 30 years until we can have teams like NPS and the NPSL level financially stable enough for longer than 5-6 months, which is right now the average team, I would say, only makes it, maybe 2 years at this point? If you're a new team, how many of them fold within 2 years?
2 years, I don't know. I just know the stat that
the 30, however many,
38 over 5 years.
Which is how many teams? I know the NPSL level is weird because it's.
Well, they were 64 before Pensacola folded, so 63, I guess, unless someone else folded in the meantime.
So is it 8 divisions of 8? No.
It's. If I try to explain to you the math,
right,
Jake,
I'll look at it at Wikipedia. I'll understand. I'm sure I've done it before. It's just.
It's ridiculous. Is what
Yeah,
it comes down to. The whole situation is ridiculous, and it's I don't know. It's terrible.
Do these teams have to have any type of plan? Because I know that like near me there's a PDL team, the Seacoast United, but they're connected with like the whole Seacoast United program, so there's no risk of them going under. Like, how do these teams pop up? It's just the fact that they're willing to pay the fee and have a field nearby.
And here's what I'm going to tell you, which is what I've heard. And again, and I want that to be clear. This is what I've heard. I have never. Well, actually, that's not true either. This is what I've heard. We'll just stick with that. God, when we get off the air, I got a whole bunch of stuff to tell you guys. The fee for a team, what I was told, depending on where your region is $5,000.
I have that.
Let me repeat that. The four of us could right now decide we want to pay that $5,000 to get a team. Now, the problem is what we were talking about before is all those other expenses. Because most Americans could afford $5,000. Not everyone. Yeah, the startup fee.
I have I only have like $5,000, but yeah,
it's all those other costs. So it's very easy. Now, you ready for the other part? That $5,000 can be split over the course of 3 seasons.
So it's more
what
like
is that? Like $1,300 a year, give or take a little bit. $1,350 a year, $1,325 a year.
It's like 17. Well, 50 divided by
17.
It's like 17.5 or 17 something funny.
Now, those are the numbers I've heard. And I don't want to swear by those numbers because I don't know if they're 100% accurate. I don't even remember where I heard, otherwise I'd source them right now. So maybe my number is way the hell off. But it is not a lot of money either way it goes. It's definitely not. I think someone told me PDL is much closer to around 50,000, which is a more reasonable number. Because that at least shows that you have the finances to
have something,
run a team. $5,000, I could cobble together $5,000 standing outside of McDonald's for a couple of days. So that's part of the reason why.
Really? That's interesting. I could use some extra cash.
Start handing outside of McDonald's with a sign that says "Need NPSL team."
Wow, I mean it's a tough. I don't know how to transition away from this because it's like
I just want to
train wreck. You have to keep watching.
I just want to apologize for missing probably the best part of Abrams' rant because I was out to dinner.
No, you get the good part.
You ready?
Okay.
You ready? I'm going to transition for you, Hank. You ready for it?
Ooh.
Timmy Chandler!
Ready? Wait for a transition. It does have to do with that. All right. So, in PDL, NPSL, despite their flaws, do have a lot of good players. Chris Clute was an NPSL player just a few years ago. If Chris Clute was playing left back today, Timmy Chandler probably wouldn't have spit the bit in the 90th minute. And transition.
Well done.
That was just a brilliant piece of
transitioning,
disappearing. What illusionism? What is that called? Magic? Stage magic?
So do we all watch the game?
No.
No.
I saw the highlights though, so I think I'm ready.
What are we doing?
I was selling baseball tickets.
Oh God.
Selling base? Is this your job?
Yeah, it's my other job. Yeah.
So you have a legitimate excuse because you're getting paid
Yes.
not to watch.
And I also repped a soccer game at 9 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I was busy.
How are they looking today?
How is who looking?
Anyone going to be called up?
Yeah, seriously, anybody you want to prop up for the NPSL?
How was the left back?
It was an over 30 league, and they had a center midfielder who played university level from England, and yeah, he was pretty good. I actually asked why he wasn't playing at like the PDL or USL Pro level because
PSL level.
So yeah, I mean like this guy he should be playing semi-pro somewhere because he's actually good.
Did he
I know
have
he's
dreads?
like 30. He's like 30 something, but
That's not too late.
no.
He could be like the next.
You don't find
Brad
guys
Davis.
in over 30 league that I normally, or even the over 40 league. You don't find guys who are generally technically gifted. You find guys who were like me that used to play like in high school, and were generally all fairly bad. This guy was actually like a center midfielder in an over 30 game, and he dominated, and you knew he was the best player on the field. That never happens.
He probably has a better chance of getting called up if someone gets injured than Landon Donovan.
Well,
unfortunately,
he's from
Usually
England,
helps
so
if you want to get called up when somebody gets injured. It's usually good not to torpedo your coach a couple of days after he got let go.
It wasn't a complete torpedo. Okay, fine. Yes, it was, but
It was, yeah, you can't get away from
Cameron. I think Cameron did it a lot worse, but
Well, even
Parker's
Dempsey said,
Parker's
"Yeah,
was
we all expected Donovan to be there." So
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good game. I thought the U.S. Did well. I thought the anthem went better than the anthem against Azerbaijan.
A little off.
A little off, but you know,
They
you
caught
got the
up.
whole crowd singing at different paces. One side was actually trying to keep pace with the song as it's being played, and the other wasn't. So
So
It was funny watching the players too, because the players were kind of torn about.
which side of the
we were
field?
saying-
some of them knew the words, some of them
Yeah.
didn't. Fabian Johnson.
Yeah.
All the world, I think we're seeing German.
I want to ask a question too. Seth, where did you watch the game?
From my apartment.
Okay.
I just got back from
Did you
Montreal.
watch? Did you watch down at the Banshee, Hank, or no?
I did not. I watched from home.
Okay, so I was the only one. Now, I know you. Oh, you watch a lot of games at the Banshee, though. A lot of the U.S. games, Hank.
Yep.
I have no idea what AO chapter. If either you or Jake or Seth, if either you are in an AO chapter, are you?
I'm affiliated with AO Boston. I don't think I paid my dues.
I know you are. I meant Seth.
There
but not
is
Jake.
there's a AO Fairfield County technically exists, but they're not official yet. I don't
Do
think we've gone
you
through
ever
the
go?
process.
Do you ever go watch with them or no?
The two guys that mainly do it, Nick Chavez is the NYCFU guy for
Yeah.
not soccer,
Kind of
but
a
he's around. He's great. It's him and another guy who I've actually met for the Ukraine friendly. But today Nick was actually at the game, and the head guy was off with his family as well, and I got stuck at work. So I don't actually know if anyone went. I would have loved to have gone. I actually called ahead and said, "Hey, do you guys have wireless so I can set up my live thread and stuff?" Which didn't end up happening because I didn't leave till about 4:30. But everyone, I got home and everyone blew up my Twitter feed of, if Jeff Cameron did commit a handball on the goal line and it's a PK, why is he still on the field in the 89th minute? I'm like, well, I didn't see. Hang on, let me go find a highlight somewhere.
So, sorry, go back to my original question. So, Hank, whenever you're at the Banshee and they're playing the national anthem, what do most members of American Outlaws do?
Sing.
All right, and the ones who are there, and I've only gone to the Banshee a couple times to watch this because I haven't been up there while it's been around. But most people will stand up, remove their hats, right?
Yeah, usually.
That's what I normally do.
But most of them sing along either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering. All right.
Pensacola?
Moving on.
Was it an organized group, Abram?
It is an organized group. There were 30-something of us.
30-something of you there, and you guys didn't sing?
Oh, I stood up because I'm one of the three founders.
And then you awkwardly pretend you had to go to the bathroom when nobody else did. You're
I
like, oh, wow.
I stood up.
got stretch.
I
Why'd you
stood up
probably
with my
go
hand
home?
over my heart, and then I turned to the guy, the main founder, and I was like, "Are you gonna stand?"
He's like,
I
no,
was like, and I'm just. I guess my main question is, am I
no,
what would be the term? Am I projecting what Boston does onto them, or
yes,
should that
yes,
just
and
be
you know what? And that's exactly
you
what you
do?
should do, because New England really founded this country, and everyone else should know. As often as possible, you should tell everyone else, this is how Boston does it, this is how the rest of the country does it, because we invented patriotism.
And
Nice.
Hold
time.
on, wait,
Sorry,
wait.
Jake.
Okay, I deserve that because I'm from Connecticut, I'm not from New England. Also,
Yeah.
for the second yellow card, which will be my red card and another mute, the diner today, Hank, first special on the menu,
clam chowder?
Manhattan clam chowder.
Manhattan clam chowder.
Huh.
Yep.
Did he mute himself, or did you mute him?
He did it himself. You can come back, Jake. He gave himself a red card.
I thought he was supposed
So
to be off.
the thing about it is these guys obviously you gotta ask them what they would do if they were at the game. So
Yeah.
if you were at the game, would you stand up and sing? You
I
damn
think
right.
that has to be. I think it has to be the fact that it's new. This is only their, I think, second gathering.
Are they all going to go to Jacksonville?
Oh, there's about 10 of them who are going.
See, that's not a rough group.
See,
It's
I
fine, boys.
think it depends on the size and stuff. Like 30 is a good number, but anytime I watch it in like New Hampshire and Dover, like there might be like 6 of us, like a couple of my friends plus some random people that we hooked up with, and like I can't imagine, and like we're in the corner of a bar, I can't imagine being a group of 6 people while other people are twerking, standing up and singing the national anthem. So
I can say one thing, at least maybe not singing along, but standing up. It's your national anthem. I mean, and you're down in like redneck capital of the world.
Redneck Riviera, baby.
You gotta say, well, you don't love your country? You a hippie communist? Stand up!
Oh, man.
That's sad.
Man, Houston is so bad. Houston is so bad.
What, they don't stand up?
Why? What's the score now?
No, it's 2-0, but like,
okay.
the offense is just terrible, and like they're committing ridiculous tackles. Like I don't get why people are so on board with Will Bruin. I mean, I guess he's missing his boy and
Mark Sheridan.
Boys, but like I just.
But Mark Sheridan is also had taken that spot away from him, and now he's out.
Before we start jumping onto Will Bruin, F him. Can we talk about Josie?
Josie, he was
pretty good.
Yeah, he was fine.
Really good. He scored a goal too, and they just called it back.
I can't get over the one that
was a foul.
Score. I don't know. The one that the foul was called prior. Not that one. The one that the foul was called prior to, I guess it was play on, or maybe he didn't hear the whistle or whatever.
There was one where he fouled the goalkeeper and he complained about it, and I was like, you fouled the goalkeeper. I could see it. You grabbed his arm. Everyone saw it.
No, I agree with you, Abram. That was a big play for me because, like, and I kind of like Twellman in the booth because you know how much of a pure goal scorer he is, and I love his comments like, goal scorers don't think. You should not be thinking out there. Like, Josie's thinking too much. And that's just that's what it does feel like. He's just trying to do too much.
He said, last year you go one-on-one with that goalkeeper, and this year he's passing it across the box.
But here's my point. At that moment where I think actually the one you're talking about, Hank, where he was one-on-one and he decided to pass it instead of shoot it, where he absolutely should have shot it, you see Aaron Johansson stand up, like arms behind his head, doing the Abram like this. My question is, what do you think was going through Aaron Johansson's head at that moment?
Shoot!
He wishes he was a better target.
He's about to screw this up.
Yeah, that's what I think was going on. I agree with you, Jake. I think that's
Aaron
exactly what
Johansson
was going through his head.
Wants Josie to score just as much as everybody else in this country.
No, I think he does too. But I think what's going through his head is, holy crap.
How do you screw
like,
that
after
up?
he misses that, I think he's like, the only thing I can imagine, and I agree with you, Hank, I do think he wants him to score. I think they may not be best friends, but they were teammates for a little bit at Alkmaar. But I can only imagine going through his head being either like what Jake said, which is he's about to screw this up, or thinking in his head, I could have finished that.
Yeah.
I could have finished that. Everyone could have finished that. And my other question is, what did you guys think about Julian Green? This is the first extended time where I saw Julian Green for more than.
At least he didn't hurt himself,
That's true.
I don't know. I need to see more of him. I really.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see it against Nigeria. But. I mean, is he the next Landon Donovan? Is he the second coming? I don't think so.
Let me say that.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
It goes back to my argument. If he's not going to be playing significant minutes or have a chance at significant minutes at the World Cup, I don't know why he's here. I really don't.
I don't know if we know that he's not going to be playing minutes or significant minutes.
Brad Davis came off the bench and had 2 assists. Even one of them was a hockey assist against. I know it's Azerbaijan, who's debatable if they're good at soccer, but to me they play the same position. They're both left wingers, and I don't see where he's going to get minutes if Brad Davis. I know what I get from Brad Davis. That's a good thing. I don't know what I get from Green, Brooks, Chandler, Hedlund, but I don't know. The spark doesn't always work though.
That's the point.
It's the risk reward. Right now, he's not getting a chance to succeed at the risk reward part. He needs to come in with what time did he get subbed in? I checked, but I don't.
I want to say it was like around 60 maybe.
Yeah, I was around there.
So he got 30 minutes, which is pretty significant. Did he accomplish anything really? Anything productive? I mean, 30 minutes is enough time
He got very close to the goalkeeper at one point.
I can say this. So it's one point, and I'm sure it's what you're talking about, Seth, where he, again, probably should have scored but didn't. I don't remember exactly how the play played in my mind. I have to watch it again later when I'm not, have other things going through my head. But I was probably the only American outlaw person in the world, let alone in that Pensacola bar, that when he didn't score, stood up and cheered. Not because I don't want him to score, but just because the second he scores, the hype for him shoot through the ceiling.
Yeah.
He's already got enough hype as is. If he scores in this send-off series, everyone's going to go, well, he's going to win the Golden Boot.
Well,
You know what I'm worried about?
someone will write that, but that someone's probably not very smart.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm worried about Michael Bradley being overworked because he's great there at the top of the diamond. And that assist there was world class, and the finish was amazing. But the thing is, he's also doing way too much defensive work too. There was one play where he was he lost the ball, and then he was the one that made the recovery run all the way back. While I think you're better off putting Beckerman back there. I don't know if that's actually what happens.
No, I've been saying this for a while. It's just there's two options that I think in my head the U will play better, and it's even if it's the 4-2-3-1. Beckerman is the true number 6. He pretty much stays back and distributes, which Bradley should be doing less of in the middle and defensive third. He needs to be getting forward and chipping balls to Fabian Johnson that are just gorgeous for him to one time off the deck and score. Even if the USA plays kind of a weird, almost Rev-style 4-1-4-1 with Dempsey dropping back into the center midfield and Bradley moving up, somehow I still like that better than anything Jermaine Jones does on the field. Which, in this system, he's lost. He doesn't know how to be a true number 6. He's always been a center midfielder.
You're talking about Jones, right?
Jones.
Yeah,
Jones doesn't know what he's doing. He's lost.
Doing that position.
Jake, you and I, Jake, are agreeing more than I think we've ever agreed on this show before.
So who would you?
You're really smart today, Jake.
So Abram, so you don't like Beckham in there? Would you put Jeff Cameron there, or would you move Bradley back? What would you do, or would you switch his formation?
You could move Bradley back and start Dix up top. And if you're going to stay with a diamond, or you can just play
up top.
You said Dix. You said Dix.
He didn't say what I thought he said.
It's on YouTube.
All right.
Forever.
Oh, yeah, I meant mix. Sorry.
Oh man, I wish we could splice that.
Dix or in.
Oh, I will. I will.
Yeah.
If you're gonna start, I agree with I think what the basis of Jake's argument was is if you're gonna play that diamond, it has to be Beckerman, and I don't think you can play Beckerman in the World Cup against faster opponents, which sucks because I think Beckerman is a very, very good player, and I think Beckerman is the key to that diamond. Jones, as you said, and I'm repeating exactly what Jake said, he's not tactically disciplined. He's not going to do it. He's not bad. When you're playing that diamond, he needs to be, especially on the defensive part, he needs to be roving over towards the side where the ball is. He wasn't doing that. He was standing where he would stand if he was playing alone as a center midfielder, directly in front of the defense and not making up the room for the left or the right back when the ball was over on that side. It did not work with him there. He's a very good player, but I don't know if he's ever played in that role before. I don't, follow his club career well enough. But if you're going to do that, it has to be Beckerman, and I'm not sure that that's plausible. If you want to play Beckerman or Jones,
he's suited for the 4-3-3, right? I mean, I don't mean to interrupt.
Who?
Jones. Yeah.
Hey, Evan, if you're watching.
You're talking about Jones?
Talking about interrupting.
No, but you're talking about Jones. You suited for the what you said now?
4-3-3.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess if you're 4-3-3, that's more like a 4-5-1.
Yeah, sort of. But
he'll work well on that. But if you're gonna do, sorry, go ahead. I apologize. I apologize, Evan. We're really sorry, Mr. Rain.
Evan. All right, I'm gonna jump in. I was talking to Hank about this, and this is, I mean, the bad thing is Klinsmann's been talking about switching the style, but all I saw today was this idea of getting the ball to guys who can put the ball on a dime. So you get the ball to a guy like Graham Zusi or a guy like Davis or even a guy like Michael Bradley, and then they get it to the forwards, and the forwards try to sneak into that back channel or whatever. And that's what we've always done. We've always tried to hit the counter, and that's why I think Davis is on this team, because fine, he's not necessarily the fastest guy, but you get the ball in his left foot, and he can probably get the ball to Josie, and Josie's strong enough to hold the ball up, or he can get the ball to Dempsey, and Dempsey's creative enough to, nutmeg a guy with his back heel, whatever magic he pulls out of his sack. And then Wando's hypothetically the best finisher. And then same thing with Aaron Johansson. That's why those forwards are there, and that's why, besides maybe the personal drama, that's why he doesn't pick Landon Donovan. He doesn't see Landon Donovan as a midfield option, and he doesn't see him as a better forward option than those guys, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's what I think. Besides the personal drama, that's why I think he's not on there.
There you have it.
That makes sense. Actually, it's the most logical reason I've heard for him not.
But then you have. Did you mention Brad Davis?
Yeah, because he can hit the ball anywhere. Tell him to hit it, and he'll do it. He won't do much else, but
that's about it, right?
Yeah. His left foot is absolutely worthy of being at a World Cup. We're just not sure about the right.
Now,
or the rest of his ability.
Given that
or his ears,
he's kind of simplified. Jurgen's really simplified Davis's role on this team, right? He's got basically one job, and
get out wide
to serve the ball in for the left.
And to be fair, he's really good at that.
He's very good at it. Yeah. Now, can Landon serve it in from the left? Yes.
Sure.
But Landon's too much of a free thinker. Right, he's got these crazy ideas. He's this kind of wild card. Not. Come on. You cannot tell me that Brad Davis is any way better than Landon Donovan.
All right. I've made this argument before, and I'm not totally sure if I made it on the show or not. And I know we haven't recorded First 11 in a week or two because Evan is out selling out. But
number 5,
Mr. Ream,
sell it out.
Evan Ream is selling out. But I sort of going back to what you're saying about Davis, and it still confuses me about this roster, and it may have just been me talking today to some of the guys who I was sitting with, is make a choice on what you're doing with this roster. If you want to go young, go young. Bring in your Julian Green, okay, then fine. Don't bring in Brad Davis, bring in Joe Corona, don't bring in Chris Wondolowski, bring in Terrence Point.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
If you're bringing in Davis and you're bringing in Wondolowski, then you bring in Landon Donovan, and you put him instead of Julian Green, or instead of DeAndre Yedlin or wherever. But I agree with you. If I had to pick between the two, Hank, and I'm not a huge Donovan fan, I would pick Donovan over Davis every day of the week.
I don't know. I think that I wouldn't. I don't know if those are the two that I would choose between. That's the thing, because I think Klinsmann sees that he found a guy that can hit that ball in transition, that can find Josie Altidore. That's why I think you need to play with two forwards up top, because Josie's not doing it by himself right now, and he's not holding the ball up enough to bring in the midfield. He needs to have, Josie kind of roaming around and another creative guy working off of him, trying to have those moments. Because honestly, that's what's going to have to happen, a goal off transition, and that's how the U.S. is going to score. They're not going to score with the ball on the ground, talking around. I just don't see that happening.
They're not. They rarely, if ever, do one of those. We're going to build from the back, possess the ball, complete 20 passes, and then score.
Yeah.
They are a countering team. Uh-oh.
We're talking to you. You cute guy there in the red shirt. Go USA.
Do you think Landon Donovan should have made the World Cup? Good call.
I think that translates to yes.
Say hi if you want Landon
Hi
Donovan.
is actually Japanese for yes.
There it is.
Trying to feed him. All right, guys, I unfortunately have to go. All right. Oh, he's telling me no, I don't have to go.
Yeah, he wants to be on TV. Tell him he's on the internet.
You're on the internet.
The interwebs.
Do something you're going to regret for the rest of your life.
Something funny.
Don't tell him that, Hank.
No. All right.
I do it every day, every week.
Say bye.
Bye. All right. Well, lots of nonsense going on, obviously, and the send-off series, I think, is going well. I think it's going well. I mean, we've got the results. Azerbaijan was a nightmare. It was such a sloppy game.
Yeah.
But today was better, I think, all around, except for the Timmy Chandler gaffe at the end. Gets down to communication. Timmy Chandler just, I think somebody made the. It was Twellman. Taylor made the comment that Fabian Johnson's going to be the starting right back.
Yeah, I think so.
He probably should be.
And he's doing a great job there. I guess he plays there in Germany anyway, so why not? Why not? But Jeff Cameron, is he? Where's Omar Gonzalez? Is he injured?
I don't. I think that there was the injury, obviously, that he had coming into camp, but also like he was not looking good in a U.S. jersey. There's a little too much ball watching. Even last year, like I know he made the MLS All-Star team and stuff like that, but like everyone was like, really? And like he was one of the nominees for Defender of the Year. I think he's been living off his name for a little too long, and I don't know. I'd rather go with Cameron right now.
So, all right. Well, so the other potential right back there, and we're going to give a shout-out to Mr. Lasser on Twitter here, at Mr. Lasser. He says, I don't think Green has earned his call-up, but Yedlin is a young player with potential getting first-team minutes. Green isn't. Yeah, you got to give him there, but different positions, really, and kind of supposed to be different players. Look at Landon Donovan when he came onto this team in 2002 or whatever it was. He was the kid along for the ride, and he proved himself at a big stage, and he wasn't really doing much anywhere else. I guess he was starting for San Jose at the time, or playing in 4th Division Germany, one or the other. But
he'd come through the academy system. I mean, that was the first generation of Bradenton and all that stuff.
Yeah, they knew who he was. Project 10, whatever it was, and Project 40. It's not that when I say that I don't think DeAndre Yedlin is a defender, that's not to say I don't think DeAndre Yedlin's bad at soccer. DeAndre Yedlin, in fact, is actually quite good at soccer. I just don't think he's capable of playing right back right this minute. Not the international
at a World Cup.
Yeah.
That's not to say that he won't be able to do that 4 years from now. And if this helps him, God bless. I still think at some point he'll be moving up to winger because that's what he's better at. He's simply not good enough one-on-one defensively, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to learn that skill. The argument for Green is, as Seth stated, if he's going to come onto the field, he needs to provide that spark, and if he doesn't do that, he can't justify his place getting minutes. A team like Turkey is not probably the best example to say, well, you should come on and be able to create something, because from what I know of Turkey, they're generally good defensively, and it's difficult for the USA anyway to score goals most of the time. It's just we have an odd countering style anyway, so I don't know. I don't think it's fair for Green to ask him to come onto a World Cup and do something when he's playing in, Bundesliga 3 or whatever it is? With the Munich reserves?
4th Division, whatever that is.
I don't, that's why, I am more, and you can say it's conservative, it's not aggressive enough. I would rather go with players. Go with the older guy. Go with the known quantities. Go with the Parkhursts, the Donovans, the Goodsons. Yep. Go with the guys that if you need them to perform, they aren't going to cost you a game. And unfortunately, I think Green, or not necessarily Green, because he's not playing defense, but Chandler, as you saw today, you put him in, he makes a mistake, it ended up in the back of your net.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem with soccer, that you play 90 minutes and like that one tiny mistake.
Yeah.
Rico Clark or Claudio Reyna or
they've all done it. They've all done it. I mean,
Oh, everyone's done it, but it's magnified at this level. Even in a lot of the top leagues around the world, you make the defensive third, I would say probably 4 times out of 5 it's in the back of your own net, right?
Yeah.
Unless Timmy Howard is amazing, or Joe Hart, whoever's in goal completely bails you out.
Brad Guzan did pretty well today.
I thought he did very well.
Someone said he did pretty well. I mean, the penalty aside,
played the second half, Jake, and he did really, really well. I thought.
Howard didn't have much to do in the first half, from what I was told.
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay.
Not at all. And to be honest, Guzan didn't have a whole lot to do in the second half. He had stopped some long-range shots, and he had that couple of near post runs there where they, on the Chandler side. It's clear to me that Chandler's not going to be your guy. He's going to be playing backup. So this is the test.
And that's sort of the other argument is I know that Fabian Johnson's technically your second best. I'm gonna say outside defender or fullback, and you can justify starting him as like these are our best 4 defenders. You still don't have a backup. Now you don't have a backup left back. Those are your 2 left backs in Beasley and Johnson.
Right.
So now Chandler, if something goes wrong, is your backup.
You can move Johnson to left, and then
and then have Chandler right, which I think would help a little bit. But I mean, it's still.
But if Johnson gets injured, you're doomed.
Well, I think no. I think you put Gonzalez in, you put Cameron at right back.
Yeah.
Again, it's the same concept. You go with your 4 best defenders at that point.
Exactly. But then who's your left back? Beasley, and Beasley's going to last maybe 90 minutes.
Well,
I mean, I hope he's
can Brad Davis's left foot play left back?
I'm not sold on Beasley, to be honest.
No.
I don't know if he's going to make it through the game himself. The round of the group of death could just end up with Beasley just as the lone casualty.
It would be great if you could give Beasley 30 minutes off at the end of the game. Can you do that now? If you had someone like Michael Parkhurst who was just going to be a straight defender at left back, you could have said, I only need an hour from you, DME. Now, I need 90 out of you for 3 straight games, and 2 of them are top 5 opponents in the world. Again, the roster composition from Klinsmann does not make sense.
Not at all.
I don't know.
All right, we've been doing this for a while. Anybody got anything killer they want to say? I know, Jake, you came in late, so you have to suck it up.
I got my crack in on the red clam chowder, which I'm vehemently upset about. Fairfield County is still the crap part of New England, which just sucks.
You're man enough to admit it.
Look, I understand it's a problem that I have. I live here. I still love New England. I still hate Starbucks. I still hate New York City FU.
Okay, you're saying all the right things, but you're still a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
yeah, that's a separate problem. I used to live in Philadelphia. Thank you.
Okay, well, all right, we'll let you have that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say before we go that I thought Nick Raimondo looked good. I think he maybe got a haircut or something like that.
Yeah, he looked real good.
Yeah, like he looked World Cup ready. So
His backup in Salt Lake didn't look so hot.
Antonella.
Parting shots maybe on
4-0. Is that Italian, Jake, for 4-0? Is that Tonella?
I'm sorry. What's the how bad was Shuttlesworth's spill yesterday? Or yesterday.
Well, he just didn't hold on to it. It was bad.
Yeah.
It bounced off him like 20 feet away from him. So what are you going to do? It hit him square in the chest, and he couldn't hold on to it.
I don't think I've actually seen the first goal, but everyone just said like, yeah, it basically was Houston all over again. I'm like, great.
I think Shuttleworth didn't move. I mean, he was kind of left him there by himself.
No, it's sort of when you're no man's land, you have to make a decision, and a lot of times he doesn't make the decision fast enough. Even if it's the wrong decision, just pick one, do something, and oftentimes he doesn't. I don't know. I mean, you can't. I mean, 5 in a row, you're gonna have flat games every now and again, but
yeah, they looked flat. They didn't have the pressure that they needed to compete. That they had in other games. In fact, they were getting out hustled. They got out New England by Montreal.
I like that.
New England play. Montreal beat them at their own game.
Yeah.
Yesterday, which is sad, but we'll get over it.
We will.
So long season left.
Well, we have Red Bulls next week, and then 3 weeks off with an Open Cup game.
Yep.
I want us to go for the Open Cup. Why do I want us to do that? That sounds like a terrible idea.
We should. We should totally do it.
We're absolutely the team that should be trying to do that.
We could totally beat everybody if we played our guys right. All right. I got to head out. That's Jake. That's Seth. I'm Hank. Before it was Abram and one of his munchkins. And you've been watching at the Pickup Soccer on the All-American Soccer Podcast Network. And thanks, everybody, for watching. And please feel free to tweet us. And hey, make sure you guys let everybody know about what's going on down in Pensacola and the National NPSL, whatever it is, National Semi-Pro Soccer League. How does it? And they're not
I
professional.
don't know. National Professional
It's
Soccer
not
League?
professional. Not professional.
Not
soccer
professional?
league. That's what it is. Not professional soccer league. All right. Signing off for this week. Later. I hit the wrong button. Later.
Goodbye.